And it goes a little something like
Globalization. Globalization is a process of exchanging people, goods and services, capital, technologies, and cultural practices. It is a process by which businesses or other organizations develop international influence. It represents the global integration of international trade, investment, information technology, and cultures. The advantages of globalization. Thanks to globalization, people are easily connected with each other. It improves the communication access because of the spread of technology and innovation. It makes our world united. For instance, struggling countries will surely receive a support so that we can all achieve the desire of a prosperous life. It offers employment opportunities that is helpful for everyone. And through that opportunities, it increases the economic growth, development of one country. But what are the disadvantages of globalization? Globalization affects our environment. Greenhouse gases, plastic that invades the marine life, and street pollution are some of the effects of globalization. And it's because of the increasing demands of the global consumers. Globalization benefits the wealthy more than poor because of the inequality in our society. And even though globalization creates jobs, it can also cause unemployment. The localization in developed countries results in unemployment. Change is inevitable, that's why globalization exists. It may positively or negatively affect people. But one thing for sure, the world we're living right now requires survival. Global interstate system. Global interstate system, it is a whole system of human interactions. The modern world system is structured politically as an interstate system, a system of competing and allying states. Global interstate system is a financial institution that extends financial assistance through loans to countries. Some of the selected institutions associated with world trade includes World Bank Group. Example are International Development Association or IDA. This is an international financial institution which offers concessional loans and grants to the whole world's poorest developing countries. International Finance Corporation or IFC is an international financial institution that offers investment, advisory, and asset management services to encourage private sector development in less developing countries. Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, or MIGA, is an international financial institution which offers political risk insurance and credit-enhanced guarantees. These guarantees help investors protect foreign direct investments against political and non-commercial risk in developing countries. International Centre for Settlement of Investment Disputes, or ICSID. It provides facilities for conciliation and arbitration of international investment disputes. International Monetary Fund, or IMF, is an international financial institution. Its stated mission is to working to foster global monetary cooperation, secure financial instability, facilitate international trade, promote high employment and sustainable economic growth, and reduce poverty around the world. Next is specialized agency. These are independent, autonomous organizations that are part of the broader United Nations system. Specialized agencies may implement projects or serve as international standard-setting bodies. Specialized agencies have their own charters, which states must agree to in order to become members. Example of specialized agency are International Labour Organization, United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, World Health Organization, Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, and many more.
Hi everyone, so for today's video, my topic is about human trafficking and also the human smuggling. So for this video, I just want to share to everyone some the information, knowledge that I hope to help you. And this is so very important issue to tackle, the human trafficking or also the human smuggling, because it is important to distinguish between human smuggling and human trafficking to develop appropriate response for this issue. So first, what is human smuggling? So human smuggling or the migrants securing or aiding the illegal entry of a person into a state which they are not national permanent resident for financial or other material benefits. So when we talk about also in human trafficking, so what human trafficking? So human trafficking is the coercion, abduction, or fraudulent recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receptions of people forcing of exploitation. This normally involves an abuse of the power, taking advantage of vulnerable people without their consent. So how are they similar? So the two crimes are not the same, but have been used interchangeable in the mass media, in particular with the focus on the Europe's migrants crisis, where most migrants are African. And next, people on the moves can be subject to exploitation and abuse along their journey, including forms of human trafficking such as forced labor or sexual exploitation. So that is how are they are similar. And what are the keys of differences? So we have the consent, purpose, and also the borders. So when we say consent, migrants normally consent to being smuggled, while a trafficked person has been forced into an active against his will or her will. And second, the purpose. Smugglers complete their interactions with migrants once they have been moved, while the trafficking continue to exploit people. So we have the youth, children, or other people that they can invite or they can force to human trafficking. And lastly, or the thirdly, borders. When you see in the smuggling, always happen across borders. But when you say in trafficking, can occur within the state, even within the community. And why does it matter? So this is the last question. Why it does matter this kind of issue or topic? For a policymaker and artificial practitioners, it is important to distinguish between the experiences to develop appropriate response. And responding to the crime or smuggling with anti-trafficking activities will do a little to reduce the scale of irregular migration and reduce associated risk. In fact, it may increase that. So, as all of the videos or the information, also I just want to share to everyone, if we see this kind of issues or we can hear some cases, we do our responsibility also to help that person, to help them to where we report or how we can help them. And also, I just want to say thank you for staying here in my video, watching this video. So thank you so much and God bless.
Proletariat. According to Marxism, proletariat is a worker class which has bourgeoisie nothing to solve but its labor, and it is exploded by bourgeoisie in capitalized system. Simply, it is the class who has nothing but its labor, and who has to solve its labor to bourgeoisie in order to survive. Proletarians are exploited more than ancient slaves. Slaves have a master who has to take care of them. Slave can be sold only one time. On country, proletarians have to sell their labor in order to survive every single day. And they always have risk to lose their job. Karl Marx defines proletarians as a class which has nothing to lose but shame. So, how come this class does not destroy capitalism? Bourgeoisie postponed it, which its degenerated culture, mass media, and thought, which are planted into socialist ideology by bourgeoisie, idolize ox and revisionist politician, but when the day come, proletarians will be the class who will destroy the capitalisms. So proletarians will destroy the systems of exploitations and liberate not just itself, but whole humanity. Proletarian is a revolutionary, internationals, and labor class. Stagflation. What is stagflation? Stagflation is an economic conditions with persistence, high inflations combined with high unemployment and relatively stagnant demand for product. Let's take a closer look. Causes of stagflation are not well understood, but economists believe it's linked to a supply shock resulting in a rapid increase in prices or government policy that increased the money supply too quickly. Typically, high levels of inflation are correlated with lower unemployment rate, but with stagflation, unemployment and inflation are high. A famous example of stagflation in modern economic history occurred in 1970s and early 1980s in the United States. Inflation was increasing through the 1970s, but by the time we got to the late 1970s, it was no longer helping to reduce unemployment. So we got stagflation, high inflation, unemployment together. Then, in the early 1980s, under Ronald Reagan, inflation fell. Unfortunately, it came hand in hand with a very serious recessions in 1981 and 82. So, we can see that getting out of stagflation is difficult because monetary and fiscal policy are not very effective at fighting supply shocks. Even if the cost is not a supply shock, policy can't fight both unemployment and inflation at the same time. Policy aimed at lowering inflation in the long run will typically increase unemployment in the short run, and policy aimed at lower unemployment in the short run
Social media. Social media, it is a computer-based technology that facilitates the sharing of ideas, thoughts, and information through the building of virtual networks and communities. To understand social media originated as a way to interact with friends and family, but was later adapted by business that wanted to take advantage of a popular new communication method to reach out to customers. The power of social media is the ability to connect and share information with anyone on earth, or with many people simultaneously.
There are more than 3.8 billion social media users around the world. Social media is an ever-changing, ever-evolving field, with new apps such as TikTok. By 2023, the number of social media users in the United States is forecast to increase to approximately 257 million. Impact of social media. Social media is a powerful revolution that has changed our lives all around. It has changed the way that we socialize, conduct our business, engage in political affairs, build professions, and set job recruitments. Socialization. Socialization with the use of platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. How people socialize has been greatly revolutionized. It has made it easy to connect to our family members, friends, and relatives on a real-time basis. With social media, people can share pictures and videos and communicate with their close ones. This has strengthened relationships, and it is bringing families together in a way that was not possible in the past. Families, friends, relatives, and business have the opportunity to share skills and improve on different proficiencies. Additionally, people get to make and meet new friends. Business have greatly been impacted by social media, from marketing to interacting with customers on a timely basis. A business that has embraced the use of social has a definite edge over its competitors. Politics. Social media has impacted politics in many ways. Nowadays, it is where most people get their news. In some cases, this is before the media houses do. It is the medium that gives the easiest access to political and other news. These online platforms also allow people to air out their political grievances to their political leaders and demand for a cross to be taken. It's also a medium where mass political rallies are formed, campaigns are carried out, and even political unrest are most felt. Job hiring. Social media has impacted job recruitment significantly. The majority of companies make their hiring decision based on one's social portfolio. Recruiters are also used online networks to post job vacancies through which they get their ideal candidates. It has also made it easy for job seekers to get access to job posts. This is evident on platforms like LinkedIn, where job seekers can create their profile containing their skills and see what job opportunities recruiters are posting. Global demography. Global demography is the study of human populations, including their current size, characteristics, how they were changing, and how they were attained. Demographers use census data, surveys, and statistical models to analyze the structure of populations. Demography affects each and every aspect of our lives, from the world economy and social policy to city planning and climate change. Meaning, the number of populations is not just a number. It may link to some issue problems that we face today. An example for that is the COVID-19 pandemic. COVID-19 pandemic and global demography. The pandemic has greatly impacted the key components of world demographics. These are migration, mortality, and fertility. Before getting into the details, let us first examine the rural and urban communities. Rural areas actually has a very low population density, and the primary industry in most rural areas is agriculture. On the other hand, urban areas have a high density of population and people are migrating to urban areas for many reasons. These include agricultural technology, industrial technology, and for more work opportunities. Let us try to look at migration in the time of pandemic. I think we are all aware of the news that due to borders closure, other migrants were stranded abroad and unable to return to their homes. In addition, the COVID-19 pandemic has caused a reverse migration from cities to less populated places and rural areas. So many urban dwellers in developing countries such as Kenya, Peru, and South Africa are returning to their rural villages. Mortality. The pandemic has caused a significant number of deaths worldwide. By mid-March 2021, the reported number of COVID-19 deaths worldwide is approaching 3 billion, while around 120 million have been infected. Fertility. There is evidence that fertility rates could get even lower due to the COVID-19. I have found an early COVID-19 survey fielded in May 2020 conducted by Guttmacher Institute. They asked women 18 to 49 about their reproductive intentions, and more than a third of women reported that because of COVID-19 pandemic, they decided to get pregnant later. So maintaining a replacement of fertility is important because lower birth rates translate into fewer people entering the labor force 20 years later, which affects our economy.
For today's video, let's talk about the immigration. Immigration
is a powerful force in the Philippines. Millions of Filipinos have moved away. As of 2015, about 10% of the population was living outside of the country. This massive exodus has major consequences, not only for those who leave, but also for those left behind. Emigration directly shapes the Philippine economy, workforce, and society. Many Filipinos move abroad seeking economic opportunity, and when they find it, they often send money back to their families. These financial transactions are called remittances, and they are an essential building block of the Philippine economy, accounting for nearly 10% of the country's GDP. People who receive remittances often make critical investments with that money, buying food, housing, and education. This steady flow of foreign money acts as a form of insurance, helping people weather regional and domestic financial crises. However, dependence on overseas workers makes the Philippines more vulnerable to forces outside of its control, like if foreign governments restrict migrant labor, or if the value of a foreign currency drops, reducing the benefit from remittances. Emigration also affects the Philippine workforce. The government promotes emigration as a way to combat unemployment, arguing that more people leaving the country means more opportunities for those who remain. And with fewer job seekers and less unemployment, employers will have to raise wages to compete for labor. But there's no evidence that this is the case. Instead, some experts argue that emigration creates brain waste. At least a third of Filipinos who move overseas have some college education, yet work in menial jobs or jobs unrelated to their degree. And immigrants who gain valuable skills abroad and return to the Philippines often choose to leave again, rather than put those skills to use at home. With so many people outside the country, the social structure inside changes too. The majority of immigrants are women. Many leave to pursue professional opportunities that may be harder to find at home. And emigration can provide an escape hatch for women who are stuck in unhappy or abusive marriages and unable to divorce. Many families are left divided, with spouses split half a world away from each other. Though it may boost families' financial prospects, emigration disrupts traditional family dynamics. With one parent absent for long periods of time, many Filipino children can miss out on parental guidance and support, and other family members may need to take on the responsibility of providing care. Emigration affects different Filipinos in different ways. Many see it as a path to prosperity, but the lowest income Filipinos can't afford to migrate. And even then, making the move is no guarantee of financial success. Nevertheless, emigration still benefits millions. In fact, the Philippines recognizes Migrant Workers' Day, celebrating their important contributions every June 7th. It's an annual acknowledgement.
Let's talk about Global Village. Did you know the Global Village theory was proposed by Marshall McLuhan? So who is Marshall McLuhan? Marshall McLuhan was a Canadian philosopher and professor but could perhaps be best described as communication theorist. Coined the term Global Village in 1964 to describe the phenomenon of a world's culture shrinking and expanding at the same time to pervasive technological advancement that allows instantaneous sharing of culture. It is important to know the background of our topic. Now let's dig deeper for us to find out what Global Village is. What is Global Village? Global Village suggests that the globalization of communication may just brought the whole world closer together. A village which everyone is interconnected. The idea of Global Village closes the gap between borders as an event experienced in one last of the world could be witnessed from other parts of unknown time. It established the image of the world where everyone has their freedom to speak and express freely as well, as information can be shared across borders. Due to the advancement of technology, Internet connects us to everyone around the globe who uses any social media platform in case the cycle of idea is continuous.